Welcome to the Liam Scheff Show on UCY TV, Truth Frequency Radio during the week, UCY TV on the weekend, maybe soon on People's Internet Radio coming out of Compton, straight out of, oh no, Ireland, sorry. Yet another movie about the ascension of important people in rap coming out. I'm sure it will be great. Like everything in that underutilized art form. Let's talk about something relatively unimportant on the cultural scale. Bin Laden didn't blow up the projects. It was you, Tigger. Tell the truth, Tigger. Let's talk about something. Let's talk about something relatively unimportant on the cultural scale. No, not whether Bruce Jenner still has a weenie or not, a Wheaties or not. Let's not talk about that. That's very important. Let's go to Facebook and find out what's important. Hold on. Before we launch into the show today, I just want to know what's trending on Facebook. Let's go to my news feed. Sorry. That was an unintentional happy. Here's my news feed. Let's see. World's largest gay bar shared. It's a picture of Dallas Cowboys. I don't know what that means. Here's a photo of a boxing match between a guy and a girl. Somebody said burn. Oh, a friend of mine there on Facebook said 1 million gallons of toxic material doesn't just accidentally get released. Thanks, EPA. You had one job. ABC News. Sorry, 1 million gallons of toxic wastewater accidentally released by the EPA has turned this river in Colorado bright orange. People have important things to say like, yeah, accidentally and sick and so on. So, there's a picture of a gangsta rapper with his pants pulled all the way down to his ankles and his sweater covering the thing, and it says your diaper is full. So that's clearly racist. Original Sin. Okay, there's a cross-eyed baby saying original sin. I just got here. What the F did I do? Which is something I've said before, which is, we get here, they inject us, cut part of our penis off, and then what's next? Okay, so Facebook is not providing a lot of real news. Let's go to CNN and see what's in the real news. Because Lord knows, this is CNN. Darth Vader used to say that. CNN.com. .communist. Weird and getting weirder. 2016 candidates have a lot to say, and some of it's strange. Trump defends blood remark. Kelly, I didn't attack Trump. Trump tweets Fiorina headache. Clinton's hiker killed in likely bear attack. Ugh. Boy's lone survivor of a desert hike. 8 bodies found after standoff. Very important news. Sounds great. Clinton, I turned over emails 1 hour ago. Chief, immigrant killed veteran. Annie Lennox's daughter rescued from river. Boyfriend missing. She stood up for AIDS drugs for Africa. She was very, very courageous in standing up for those drugs that they do kill people and rip their skin off, but she was very, very courageous. Target ending sex-based signs. Target, forgive me for the water sounds in a submarine. Cop fatally shoots college athlete. 70 years since Hiroshima. Hey, wait a second. Hiroshima, you say? What was Hiroshima? Or Hiroshima, as they say in Texas. What was Hiroshima? What was Hiroshima? Anybody? Oh, there's Rand Paul among... Let's see, there's Rand Paul. There's Jeb Bush, taller than his brother. There's Donald Trump, mentally ill. Actually, everybody on this dais, this stage is mentally ill. They're all running for an office, and in order to run for office, you have to be. It's in the DSM. You have to be mentally ill to run for office. Why? Because you're about to lie to millions of people and pretend that your sex life is not the one that you've actually had, but some other sanitized version of it. Never made any deals with any satanic death cults like Dow or Monsanto or Syngenta, ADM, supermarket killers to the world. You're going to get up and lie, and you're a narcissist, and you're going to want people to like you, which is pathetic. So everybody running for office is a pathetic, lying narcissist. It's in the DSM. Look it up. This is the Liam Scheff Show on UCY TV and Truth Frequency Radio. After that bumpy takeoff, we're going to come to our cruising altitude of about 35,000 feet. Please feel free to step out onto the wings and take in the view. We're going to be flying over the central United States, home of about 1,000. No. Giant nuclear bomb tests. Now, we'll call them tests, but the bombs actually did go off. So is it a test if the bomb doesn't go off and a failure if it does, or is it a failure if it goes off and a test if it doesn't? I don't know. I'm surprised that we call them bomb tests. We have important things in the news like Serena Williams speaks out over sad things. Christian Ted's very sad. Annie Lennox's daughter thing, blah, 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 who's wearing a hat just like Annie. And the boyfriend who looks like Yves Saint Laurent, which is not there to make fun of him because he's probably expired at this point in the river, which is terrible. It's very bad. Wow. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Shouldn't go. Don't go. Oh my God, that was a bad picture. More scandals in the bake-off kitchen. Very important news. I'm on independent.co. Henry Cavill, that's our Superman, reveals the moment he got unacceptably aroused during a sex scene. Why women are doing all the best stuff at Edinburgh this year. Male comedians in short supply. Oh, good. Hitchhiker's actress and children's TV star dies. That's just great. This is the Independent Guide to the UK Constitution. No, none of this is important. Let's look at this article from the UK Independent and see if it leads us into today's topic. CIA destroyed files on radiation victims. The public may never know full details of secret experiments on Americans during the Cold War. Brr. I love a parade. Let's see. As late as 1986, a congressional committee which produced a report entitled America's Nuclear Guinea Pigs. 3 decades of radiation experiments. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly how I, Liam Scheff, will destroy the world. And everybody on my enemies list that I just read 3 times, take heed. Your days are numbered. What? What, we had a line outage? I can't read all that again. That was 8 minutes. I can't read my enemies list again. Oh my God. Now they'll never know how I plan to take over the world and make it my private koi pond. You're listening to the Liam Scheff Show on UCY TV and Truth Frequency Radio on the Week. UCY TV right now. I guess my enemies list will wait for another time. Let's just say that Richard Nixon may or may not be on it. Let's look at this independent.uk article from the 90s, 1994, in the year of the internet. It was barely there. You could look up like hacks to video games online. It was everybody had the basic HTML pages and they learned to make rainbow colors. Everything was on a rainbow or purple. Hey, make your page different, make it purple. Don't worry if people can't read it. Hazel O'Leary said during the Clinton administration about the CIA revelations about radiation being used on the American public. Sorry about that. My expectation is that there will be more disclosures almost every 36 hours. We're learning more. I thought you stopped learning after high school. Experiments so far disclosed include... That's a hard sentence. So far disclosed include tests on retarded teenagers, screw them, at a school in Massachusetts, who were given radioactive milk with their breakfast cereal. Take that, retarded teenagers. CIA loves you. And pregnant women who took radiation pills to see what effect radioactive iron would have on their fetuses. Let's see if we can breed some sort of hypergenetic Iron Man by giving it radioactive iron. That should work. A scientist who injected 7 baby boys in Memphis, Tennessee, with radioactive iodide said, "Naturally, we hope there was no damage." Oh, kill him on TV. The experiments, almost without exception, involved using as guinea pigs people who, even if they were told what was happening to them, were not well placed to refuse to cooperate with doctors. What does that sentence mean? Not well placed to refuse. In other words, doctors have an unreasonable power over you, right? They were usually poor, black, elderly, prisoners, or hospital patients suffering from serious illnesses. A doctor's report on one patient injected with radioactive salt to see what effect it had on his kidney says, as he had no home, he agreed willingly. Well, I've never seen anybody do experiments on small orphan children from the Dominican Republic in Washington Heights from 1994 to somewhere in the 2000s in a documentary that I did called Guinea Pig Kids that I did the research for and the stories that I wrote called The House That AIDS Built. I never, ever, 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 ever saw anybody go through anything like that. Now let's talk about, it's not in chapter 6 of my book either. Let's talk about the 3 nuclear disasters because nuclear power is safe and effective. And anybody who says otherwise is really cruising for a bruise and you're itching for a fight. If you think that nuclear power is anything but the future savior of this great land, America, sorry. We know there have been 3 nuclear accidents. Number 1, 3 Mile Island, which was not a total meltdown, even though it was a meltdown. Let's be clear, it was not a total meltdown, so let's call it a partial meltdown. It's like being partially pregnant. Then there was Chernobyl, those bad, bad Russians. Would never happen here. Well, and then there was the accident, of course, at Fukushima, which was really caused by HARP. No. It was really caused by the tsunami. It's fine to build a nuclear power plant with 6 ongoing radioactive and melt pools all over the place. It doesn't really matter if it's on the coast of a tiny island nation prone to hurricanes and tsunamis. It doesn't matter because I don't like your attitude. Nuclear power is safe. It's safe. Now let's go to the old Wikipedia, the CIA fact book. Now you're listening to the Liam Scheff Show on Truth Frequency Radio during the week and UCY TV right now, live. Unless you're listening to a rebroadcast, in which case your nose will be turning a different color. Please run to a mirror now and check it out. Oh, too late. It's back. List of nuclear disasters and radioactive incidents from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. You know what my daddy said, nothing ever good is free. There are lists of these are lists of nuclear disasters and radio. Well, there should just be 3, shouldn't there? These are lists of nuclear disasters and radioactive incidents. I thought there were just 3. The partial meltdown well, wait a second. This is hurting my feelings. Okay, not 1945, Nagasaki. Well, that was an incident, not an accident, because they deserved it for being Japanese civilians. Then there was Hiroshima, and they deserved it for being... well, we needed to test the bomb, you see. We needed to test the bomb, and that's why little Truman... Okay, never mind that. Let's just forget about those. Pollution at Lake Karachay. That's not a nuclear. I mean, it's listed here. The Techa River, Rocky Flats plant? Radioactive contamination from the Rocky Flats plant? That must be a mistake. The Hanford site, Hanford, Washington. What would that? The Bikini Atoll. Is that like Cunnilingus or something? Bikini. Oh, no. Whoops. 1951, Desert Rock exercises. I don't know what that... 1954, Totskoye nuclear exercise. 1957, Operation Plum Bob? Plum Bob? Plum Bob SquarePants. 1957, the Windscale fire. I don't know what any... K-19 nuclear accident? That was a movie with Harrison Ford. That's not a real thing. That's a movie. 1987, Goiânia accident. 1990, Clinic of Zaragoza radiotherapy accident. There's never been an accident from putting radiation through people in a hospital or in an airport, which I went through the other day, where they fried my testicles with their "Can we see you naked" thing because the terrorist, whatever, didn't come back. The cat came back the very next day, but we're the terrorists. List of civilian nuclear accidents. This article lists notable civilian accidents involving fissile nuclear material or nuclear reactors. Civilian incidents, not Syrian... Civilian incidents not serious enough to be accidents are listed in the list of civilian nuclear incidents, blah, blah, blah. Military accidents are listed in the list of military nuclear accidents. What do you mean? Civil radiation accidents not involving fissile material are listed in the list of civil radiation accidents. Why don't they want to put them in one place? Would it be bad for us to see them all in one place? I don't know. Okay, there can't be that many because we know there are only three. 3 Mile Island, which was a meltdown, but only a little. It was a meltdown, but just enough. It was a meltdown, but just call it partial. Chernobyl, which was, those Russians. We hate them. And also the Japanese, who can't do anything right. I mean, let's face it. 1950s, 12 December 1952. Chalk River, Ontario, Canada. Oh, those Canadians, eh? Yeah, you figure they'd screw it up. Reactor core damaged. A reactor shut-off rod failure combined with several operator errors led to a major power excursion of more than double the reactor's rated output. Blah, 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 blah. After the incident, approximately 1,202 people were involved in a 2-year cleanup, blah, blah, blah. Oh, of course, everybody was fine. There were no immediate fatalities because radiation takes a while to kill you. A 1982 follow-up study of exposed workers showed that no long-term health effects occurred, though Atomic Energy Canada Limited files were lost in a 1956 fire. So, we don't really know. But just, it's the Canadians, and they had to, okay, let's move on. 1958, Chalk River, Ontario, fuel damage due to it's those hosers up there in Canada. Due to inadequate cooling, a damaged uranium fuel caught rod fire and was torn in two. Blah, 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 blah. Skin cancers, blah, 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 blah. 1958, Vinca, Serbia, then Yugoslavia. Figure those Yugoslavians. More like Yugoslavians, huh? Because they're sloppy when they're... During a subcritical counting experiment, a power buildup went undetected in the Vinca Nuclear Institute Sub-Zero Power National Uranium Heavy Water Research Reactor. Looks like an experiment. Oh, a bone marrow transplant had a single woman. Oh, there's some problems. Doesn't matter. It wasn't here. It would never happen here. 26 July 1959. Santa Susana, must be Mexico, Field Laboratory, California. Wait a second. Partial meltdown. What? This can't be right. Oh, it's on the internet. This must be fake. A partial core meltdown took place when the sodium reactor experiment experienced a power excursion, resulting in a melting of 1/3 of the nuclear fuel and significant releases of radioactive gases? The amount of radioactivity released is reported as 240 to 260 times worse than 3 Mile Island? It's near the Simi. The soil was removed and other soil brought in and now forms an area near the Simi Valley Adventist Hospital? All right, I'm moving on. There can't be this many nuclear... Okay, 1960s. Come on. Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. A core melt accident occurred at the Westinghouse Waltz... What? One fuel element melted and 2 million gallons of contaminated water leaked? Radioactive water? Led to detectable strontium-90 in the ground? No. The site is currently undergoing cleanup? Wait a minute, what do you mean currently? It was 1960. I thought radiation only lasts, a couple 100,000 years. 1964. But there's a Richmond, Rhode Island. Criticality accident? Okay, so there was a fission problem in Rhode Island. But those Rhode Islanders, oh my God. 90 minutes, the guy died, and okay. Let's move on. Nobody wants to think about Rhode Island anyway. What do they have? Brown University, and big deal. Try to be Harvard a little bit more. Why don't you? It was probably why the thing happened. Monroe, Michigan, 1966. Partial meltdown. Give me a break. Sodium cooling system caused by a partial meltdown of the Enrico Fermi demonstration nuclear breeder reactor. A zirconium fragment that obstructed the flow guide. Oh, okay. All right. The Soviet icebreaker Lenin suffered a major accident, probably a meltdown, but they covered it up. So that was dumped into the ocean, along with 60% of the radioactive fuel. But you know, May 1967, Dumfries and Galloway, Scotland, partial meltdown. There was a part. How can there all have been all these meltdowns? I thought there were only three. There was Three Mile Island, which was only not a real meltdown. And there was Chernobyl because of the stupid Russians, and then Fukushima because of the stupid Japanese. But why are all these things occurring in the United States? Lucens Canton of Vaud, Switzerland, explosion, 1969. Don't hurt my favorite year. A total loss of coolant led to a power excursion and explosion of experimental nuclear reactor in a large cave at Lucens. An underground location, its reactor acted like a contaminant. The cavern was heavily contaminated and was sealed. Defueling and partial dismantling occurred from 1969 to 1973. In 1988, the lowest caverns were filled with concrete. Currently, currently the archives are located in the caverns, the radioactive caverns. Yeah, that's what it says. 70s, 1975. Griefsville, Germany, then East Germany. Station blackout. A fire in a cable duct after a short circuit disabled the electrical power supply of all feeder and emergency core cooling pumps. Power supply was improvised. Oh, it's like Apollo 13. They improvised a thing. That's not bad, is it? February 1977, the year Star Wars came out. Yes, Yaslovskia, Volynsky, Slovakia, then Czechoslovakia. Fuel damage. Operators neglected to remove a moisture-absorbing materials, like the stuff in your vitamins, that says do not remove and do not eat, from a fuel rod assembly before loading it to the KS-150 reactor. Damaged fuel integrity, extensive corrosion of fuel cladding, and a release of radioactivity in the plant area. Wait a second. 1979, Middletown, Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. Dauphin. They say Dolphin County when they're there. Dauphin County. Worst accent in the world. Drop a bomb on the place. Equipment failures and worker mistakes contribute an accent bomb, affixing the accent bomb. That's all. Equipment failures and worker mistakes contributed to a loss of coolant and partial core meltdown at the 3 Mile Line. Well, there's one, and area residents received some, the reactor was extensively damaged, and there were no fatalities though. And listen to this: the Wikipedia says area residents received a smaller exposure of about 1/3 the dose of eating a banana per day for 1 year. There were no fatalities because you never count cancer deaths afterwards because they could be coming from anything. Like, unexplained increases in cancer deaths could come from like sunspots or something. And even though bananas don't contain any ionizing radiation, that's the benchmark that the nuclear industry likes to use. That the stuff from a nuclear power plant is ionizing radiation, which will rip through your entire body, and bananas don't have any ionizing radiation. But don't worry about that. Just remember, safe as bananas. Oh, this is a lot of stuff. I'm finally to 1980. I've got 3 decades to go. Now, this is just the civilian ones. Okay, I'm going to reach through. 1980, Saint-Laurent des Eaux, France, nuclear materials leak. March 1981, Suruga, Japan, radioactive materials released into the sea. March 1981, September 1983, Buenos Aires, Argentina, accidental criticality. April 1986, Pripyat, Ukraine, power excursion, explosion, complete meltdown. No, it's true. No. May 1986, Ham, Uentrup, Germany, then West Germany, fuel damaged. Now 1993, Tomsk, Russia, explosion. Pressure buildup led to an explosion and all kinds of fallout, and there was the fallout plume, and the small village of Georgievka was at the end of the fallout plume. But don't worry, everybody's fine. It's just bananas, everything's fine. Listen, never worry. Radiation can't really kill you. I mean, let's make it clear that swimming in a vat of radiation is called hormesis, and Ann Coulter has told everybody that it's fine. Some people will die after being exposed to radiation, but those people don't believe that they create their own thoughts and with reality. They create their own reality with their thoughts. So you have to believe that you're going to create your own reality with your thoughts, and that's how you're protected. Oh, God, we're not even to 2000. Ishikiwa Prefecture, Japan, 1999. Operators control rod malfunction. Well, there's not... September 1999. Ibaraki Prefecture, Japan, accidental criticality. That means that you start fission, which is nonstop. Some people died. Yeah, big deal. This is a tough world, right? 2003, pox hungry, fuel damage. That's, that can just cause a accidental criticality in the pool. But Sellafield, England, 2005, nuclear materials leak. 2005, Braidwood, Illinois, nuclear materials leak. 2006, Erwin, Texas, nuclear materials leak. 2011, Fukushima, three-core nuclear meltdown, blah, blah, blah. All right. Okay, got to get my breath. All right, oh, this is hard for me. I feel like I've got the vapors or something like that. I really just felt there were these three nuclear accidents. The one caused by the stupid Russians, the one caused by the stupid Japanese, and the one in America that wasn't as bad as people think it was because it was like eating a banana once in a while. Even though there's no ionizing radiation in bananas and the stuff coming out of a nuclear power plant is ionizing radiation, so it's not even worth comparing them, but that's what the nuclear industry does as its benchmark because they're so honest. List of civilian radiation accidents. I don't think I can take this. Oh my God. Okay. Uh, overexposure of lab workers, 1800s, overexposures of workers, overexposure, radium poisoning, Houston, Texas, overexposure of workers, 1977, Dounre, United Kingdom, release of nuclear material, oh God. An explosion at the Dounre Nuclear Power Development Establishment caused a mixture of unrecorded waste. Unrecorded waste? Sounds like what I do. I don't look. I just flush. To be leaked from a waste disposal shaft, that sounds exactly like me going to the bathroom. But theirs is radioactive, and I hope mine isn't. 1979, Church Rock, New Mexico, release of radioactive mine tailings. Once again, minus the radioactive. I mine tailings all the time, and they just flush. I just flush. September 1979, tritium leak at American Atomics in Tucson, Arizona. I just realized, 1980s, Lycoming 9 Mile Point, New York, an overloaded wastewater tank deliberately flushed into a building sub-basement. Oh, my God. Okay, I gotta breathe. I gotta get a paper bag. Okay, so it keeps going, and there's 19, like 6 more, say 8 more in the 1980s, like 15, 20 in the 1990s. Sorek Israel, an operator at a commercial irradiation facility, bypassed the safety systems in the sterilizer to clear a jam in the product conveyor area. 1 to 2 minute exposure resulted in the whole body. Okay, it's sad. It's just, it's sad when people are careless. But radiation is safe and effective, and our future is going to be based. February 2000, Semak Prakan radiation accident. The radiation source of an expired teletherapy, its X-ray machine, was purchased and transferred without registration and stored in an unguarded parking lot without warning signs. It was then stolen from a plot and dismantled in a junkyard for scrap metal. And they were oh my God, they removed the radioactive material from the lead shielding, and okay, well, can't blame them. February 2001. A medical accelerator, a CAT scan or an X-ray machine at the Bialystok Oncology Center in Poland malfunctioned, resulting in 5 female patients receiving excessive doses of radiation while undergoing breast cancer treatment. Oh! The incident was revealed when one of the patients complained of a painful radiation burn. Well, yeah. Yeah, the hospital technician was fined and some skin grafts, and yeah, maybe they're all dead. I seem to have about 50, it looks like about 40 incidents, 35 incidents in the 2000 to 2010, and we're just got about 10 in 2010 to now. 2013, December, truck transporting some cobalt 60, I'm not sure, source from a Tijuana hospital to a waste storage was hijacked near Mexico City. Source was found shortly after in a nearby field where it was. The thieves may have received a fatal dose of radiation. Well, that serves them right. Okay, so there clearly have been more than a few nuclear accidents, more than the 3. Maybe worldwide there have been 99. I got to swallow now. Accidents at nuclear power plants. That's what the Wikipedia says. Actually, it says, at least. And because that's the official story, I'm going to say there are 600. Because let's say that you're at a job, and let's say you work in a movie theater, and you keep doing something that you're not supposed to do, like kicking like a candy bar that you can't reach further under the ice machine, and it's going to melt, but you don't care because it's not your shift. and it keeps falling, and it's the way the machine is, and you just kick it. And how many times do you do that for over 6 months? And then one day your boss sees you and says, "Did you kick that candy bar?" "Yeah, I'm sorry. Have you been doing that before?" "No, I just thought it would." "Don't do that again. We had to pay like $1,000 to clean out this gutter of all the cocoa. So, we had a clog, and, it gets cold. So don't do that." "Oh, yeah, I would never do that." Do you understand that the people who work at movie theaters also work at nuclear power plants? Do you understand there's no difference between human beings, essentially, in all essence? I mean, some of us are very bright. Some of us are very fast. Some of us are boys who become girls after successful Olympic careers. But deep down, we're all a storytelling animal, and we're all a tool-making monkey. And we do what we can with the tools of the forest. And if something works, like a wedge under a door, or a wedge under a piece of wood if you're hammering something, or a rope to get up a tree or make a swing, or a stick to push down a hole to pull up termites, we're going to use that. We're not built to use stuff that has a 10,000-year half-life. Nuclear power will kill everybody on this planet. So I'm ending the comedy portion of the show, and now I'm going to transition to the comedy portion of the show. Worldwide, there have been 99 accidents at nuclear power plants. 57 accidents have occurred since the Chernobyl disaster. 57 of them have been in the U.S. It's 57%. Serious nuclear power plant accidents include, but are not limited to, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster, Chernobyl disaster, 3 Mile Island accident, and SL1 accident. Well, you don't know about the SL1, do you? Yeah, well, there you go. SL1 was Stationary Low Power Reactor Number 1, U.S. Army Experimental Nuclear Power Reactor, which underwent a steam explosion and meltdown on January 3rd, 1961. Right there in Idaho. I don't like calling people hoes. I mean, Ida prostitute, whatever. Now let's get down to brass tacks. The nuclear industry is the least honest industry in the universe. This is what they actually say on the deaths due to the Chernobyl disaster page on the Wikipedia. It is thought that the principal long-term adverse health outcomes of the Chernobyl accident are anxiety and depression among the general public across Eastern Europe as a result of irresponsible reporting and exaggerated statements by anti-nuclear power activists. No, it wasn't the total meltdown. It wasn't the thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people who are dead of cancer. Hey, here's some fun. Look up Chernobyl, deformation, and baby on the Giggle machine. Chernobyl, deformation, and baby. That's right, caller number 7. You're throwing up in your own mouth. The nuclear power industry is the least honest industry on Earth. No, they're as dishonest as Enron. They're as dishonest as the Coca-Cola industry, which puts poison from phosphate mining into their soda. They're as dishonest as the fluoride industry. Sorry about that sound. I'm on a submarine. They're as dishonest as you name it. Your local grid operator. They're as dishonest as the guy running the porn operation with the peep show thing out on Route 9. He's not the most honest guy in the world. He's just giving the people what they want. There's no bloody difference between the a-holes in charge and the a-holes not in charge, except the a-holes in charge are dealing with very, very powerful machines that they do not understand the limits of. And the people who are not in charge do not understand the power of these machines. Nuclear power will destroy the human species. It's the most dangerous thing in the world. The Fukushima accident will slowly leak poison into the Pacific until it's absolutely clear that the ocean becomes uninhabitable to complex life. At least you cannot discount it as a possibility. And if you say that I'm not exactly correct, you cannot discount it as a possibility because this is 250,000 years of a half-life. We're talking possibly talking hundreds of tons of radioactive material over there. No, it is hundreds of tons. Not hundreds of pounds, but hundreds of tons of radioactive material spilling into the Pacific. We've got this stuff staggered all over the United States. What's it called? I can't remember. The Indian something over in Indian Point, I can't remember, in New York. Turkey Point nuclear reactor in Miami, off of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, having power problems. The ones downstream in Tennessee from a dam that's about to burst, they're going to have to put billions, probably hundreds of millions, into fixing a dam that they're probably not going to fix. All nuclear power plants are built on water so that they can be doused. The people who built them are tool-making monkeys, just like the rest of us, like Enrico Fermi, who, when they did, as I know, as my friend Popeye from down the rabbit hole knows, this is well recorded. When they did the Trinity experiment in New Mexico and they exploded that bomb, Enrico Fermi made a bet, and he said, "I don't know if this is going to destroy. This could ignite the oxygen in the whole atmosphere of the planet. We don't know. Ah, what the hell? Push the button." And they did. We are not a species that is able to handle this kind of power, no matter what anybody says, no matter what cheap parlor tricks. Oh, you're getting the dose of a banana. Go fuck yourselves. It's not the dose of a banana one day a year for a year. That's non-ionizing radiation. It's an entirely different form. It's an entirely different breed of beast. Cesium-137, the various iodines, the plutoniums and uraniums and all of the other elements that spin out of this incredibly large, unstable molecule that we've bred will kill everything that they come in contact with, either quickly or slowly. And that's how the nuclear industry gets away with it. Because if you don't die within 36 hours, you died of natural bloody causes. Now you know. The saber-toothed tiger in the room is the 2053 nuclear bombs that were blown up in the world. Not tested, but blown up. All bigger than Hiroshima, all bigger than Nagasaki. The biggest one was 50 megatons. Hiroshima was about 15 kilotons. So 1 megaton is 1,000 kilotons. So the one in Hiroshima was 15. That means that a 15 megatons would be 1,000, right? Follow what I'm saying? 1,000 times larger. Well, the biggest one ever exploded in the world was 50, which is essentially 3 point whatever 2 times the 15, so 3,000, 3,200 times. The bombs that we were testing were 1,000 to 3,200 times larger than the ones that we killed people with in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Those aren't tests. Those are nuclear bombs. They went off. There were 1,000 detonated in the United States at least. In the United States. And I mean even in Missouri, which explains a lot, by the way. Shout out Missouri. New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, possibly California. I don't quite remember. Alaska, probably. Yeah. Pacific Ocean, over and over and over again. Dozens, possibly hundreds. Russia in its atmosphere, Britain in its atmosphere, in its little bit of the hemisphere, France, wherever it wanted to, in the islands, in the countries that it ruled with its little cigarette clenched iron fist. Do you understand that we live in an era of absolute fiction? We are a tool-making animal, and we found something that let us make tools out of the most dangerous thing on Earth, which is radioactive material, which kills everybody silently. You don't know what's happening, and it does it slowly, and you don't die of radiation poisoning unless you're swallowing this stuff. You die of every other disease. That's what radiation poisoning, unless you're given an ultra-high dose, that's what it looks like. Now, what are the animals in the Pacific dying of? Every other disease, fungal diseases, mystery diseases, starvation. Bodies falling apart. Oh, it's global warming. Is it? Is it really? Is that what it is? So the whole Pacific has giant dead zones because of a little warm water? Really? All right. Okay. Even if it's the case. And I don't think it is. I mean, I think that global temperature change is happening or happens all the time. And I think that there are problems with it, and you can make a big deal out of that if you want to. But I'm telling you something. We are a crazy monkey, and we got a hold of the most dangerous thing on Earth, and we wanted to make fun with it. Atoms for Peace was a program proposed by by Dr. Strangelove, but it was given to Dwight Eisenhower, a tool that he was, even though he knew about the military-industrial complex. And when he left office, he said, "Hey, a-holes, that's you, Mr. and Mrs. American, all ships at sea, you stupid bastards. Beware the military-industrial complex." Well, not until he made this speech. First, he had to make this speech. The United States knows, 1953, knows that if the fearful trend of atomic military buildup can be reversed, this greatest of destructive forces can be developed into a great boon for the benefit of all mankind. Yes, it's atoms for peace. The United States knows that a peaceful power plant from atomic energy is no dream of the future. That capability, already proved, is here now, today. Did I mention all the criticalities, spills, and accidents in the 50s? Who can doubt if the entire body of the world's scientists and engineers had adequate amounts of fissionable material with which to test and develop their ideas, that this capability would rapidly be transformed into universal, efficient, and economic usage? To hasten the day when fear of the atom will begin to disappear from the minds of people, the governments of the East and West, there are certain steps that can be taken now. Let's brainwash the entire world into thinking that radioactive material, which kills at a distance, kills what it comes into contact with by ripping apart its genetic structure, by altering its genetic structure, by changing the way that it replicates, by slowly dismantling it from the inside out, is not fearful anymore. Why don't we just train copperheads to give oral sex? Hey, you know what? We shouldn't fear copperheads, rattles, and cobras too. Let's train them in oral. Nobody. What? They'll bite you? Well, that's just, everybody knows if we can use this venom correctly during oral sex. Did that drive the point home enough for you? I ran out of time on today's show to do something I wanted to do. We had the 7-minute enemies list, how I'm going to take over the world break, but there's nothing you can do about this. I'm not imploring you to be an activist against nuclear power. It's done. I mean, it's going to keep happening. We have built 104 nuclear reactors in this country that are all aging rapidly. All of them. It's like in the movie where the anti-hero is the guy that you like, but you're not supposed to. He defends somebody and he does something honorable for a change, and he sits there on the ground, and what's happened? He realized that he's been stabbed, in protecting the woman that he loved or something like that. Or the man. Or the Caitlin, whatever. And he says, "Don't worry about me, I'm dead already." You know that heroic line in the movies? Well, that's us. We're dead already. I don't mean today, and I don't mean tomorrow. And I don't mean all at once. I mean that we don't have the ability to wrangle and manage the kinds of tools that we use on this planet. And we don't understand that. It's our primary failing. We don't understand the limits of our ability to use power. Lord Acton, who had a very long name, never wrote a history book, studied all of the histories up to that point, which included some great histories, I think including Edward Gibbon, on the rise and decline and fall of the Roman Empire. Plus all the Latin, all the Greek and Roman writers that he could get his hands on, plus all the English writers, probably some of the French, probably read French, Italian, and Spanish. And he made notes, copious notes in his books, and he would write the notes and put them in his books, and they would be filled with paper, filled with notes. And he said just a few things. He said, and this applies to oil. This applies to the power that we released when we dug into oil and made machines fly and move, and we refined atomic energy. We refined plutonium, uranium with oil-based machines. We couldn't have done it otherwise. We needed this technology. We needed the energy of oil to build machines crazy enough that let us separate ourselves enough from the danger so that we could work with it. Anything that has to be held behind layers of glass and lead shouldn't even exist in our world. Lord Acton said, all great men, almost all great men, are invariably bad men. Power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. Well, we've had a century of absolute power. We've had oil for 100 years or more. 150, 60. About 110 of the automobile. And on that happy note, see you next time. We'll talk about solar power. Stay tuned on UCY TV.